Hi everyone, this is Julia and you're watching Julia at Home. I just finished doing some planning for the week and put together my morning time basket, so I thought I'd share it with you. This is our third week of school in the month of January 2019. I have a kindergartner and a preschooler right now. This is where our morning basket lives, on the shelf in our living room. We pull the books and resources we're using out for the day onto the coffee table, along with that candle there, which we light at the beginning. So I'm going to pull the box out and show you what's inside. A quick note, if you hear some noise in the background, I am sitting next to our pellet stove while I film this because it is very cold outside. So I apologize for the background noise there, but that's what that is. So I'm going to go ahead and try to pull these out for you and show you what's in here. So the first thing is my clipboard for circle time. So let me do this. It has just a basic outline for myself to follow on the front with our lighting verse and our closing verse. And then it's got printouts of song lyrics and poems that we do. These are herb fairy songs. It's kind of a mix of things, but it's mostly songs and poetry. And then we do our calendar time during circle time, so let me show you that. So our calendar currently lives up high when not in use. I need to print out one for this year. I didn't realize I didn't have a printout for this year. I did several years in a row, but I did it several years ago. So this is set for today. It's the full moon lunar eclipse tonight. So that should be exciting if we can see it. It's snowing right now, so it may or may not clear up in time. But we do this, I'll pull it down the middle. The kids get to take turns moving the ring and changing the weather, and I usually change the moon. Okay, coming back to the box, after calendar time, I usually read the poem of the month in Around the Year by Aesop. This month is January, so we are reading the January poem. The pictures are gorgeous. Then we will be doing a poem from Sing a Song of Seasons, which has a nature poem for every day of the year. I have it has a beautiful little pink ribbon bookmark in it. Whoop, a little too far. So this is this week's. And this is a new addition for us. We were at a local bookstore that I love, and I saw it, and I think I had seen one or more of my Instagram people I follow on Instagram with this book, and it's just, and in person, it's just so beautiful. So yeah, I could not resist getting that. Then in here I have an Italian book. This is one of our Italian resources. It goes with the poems. We're doing a song from this during circle time, so I have it in there. I'm trying to get to the page. One-handed here. Here we go. So there's songs and poems, and it comes with a CD as well to learn the songs. So we'll be listening to that and doing Il Pupazzo di Neve, which is the snowman song, this week. Well, probably for several weeks, actually. That's going to take a while. Okay, behind that, we have our Sitting Together curriculum. And I did a review of this recently that I will link to. Also in the box is our chime that I use to start this off. And this is the children's lesson book, so I have it marked with what lesson we're doing this week. And then the book that goes along with that particular lesson for the week is in here, so I will switch out these books each week. Okay, so these are not a book, but these live in our morning time basket. And what these are bean bags to do counting. So I use these, we toss them back and forth to do skip counting with my daughter. Right now she's gotten pretty good at 10s, and we've started on 5s. And my son doesn't want to be left out, so I count to ones. I count by ones up to 20 with him. He's pretty good at 1 through 10. We're working on 11 through 20. So those live in there as well. Then we've got our Jesus Storybook Bible, and this is something we just do once a week. We will read one of the stories in here. We're just a couple stories into the New Testament as I tried to time it with the year so that we read the Nativity story around Christmas. Okay, this little one here. Who was Abigail Adams? So for history, we are doing biographies of famous Americans with a slightly social justice bent. It's a combination of famous people like presidents, but also people like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. And we're getting to Elizabeth Cady Stanton, and we're gonna end with I Dissent about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So again, a little bit of a social justice bent there. But right now we're still pretty early in American history. We're going to be doing Who Was Abigail Adams. Now, history is one of the few books in our morning basket, aside from our circle time materials, that is read every day. And I just, like in this case, I just read a chapter a day, and some of the other ones, mostly they're picture books, not chapter books. I would just read a few pages a day till we're done. Some of them don't even take a full week. This one I think will take us a good 2 weeks to get through, doing a chapter or two each day. I try to leave a little bit longer on our final day of morning time in the week to get a little bit more history done. Luckily, my daughter really enjoys listening to the history books, and I really enjoy reading them. So this has been a favorite of ours. I actually thought the Who Was series was going to be too advanced, but we did what is the Taj Mahal last year when we studied India, and we all really enjoyed it, and it was really accessible. And so most of the biographies I have are picture books, but for Abigail Adams, this is the one that I was able to find. So this is what we're going with. Next, we have Aesop's Fables. This is just a copy that I think my parents had at some point. So we only do this once a week as well. And how I use this is actually for my daughter to practice narration. She's recently turned 6, and so I waited until she was 6 to start this. And I heard from several sources that these were a good place to start because they are short and they are stories. So I read her one. They're all very short. I don't think any of them in here are more than a page. Yes, that's actually a long one. So I read it to her, and then I have her tell me back in her own words what happened in the story. So we're mainly using it to practice for narration, and that's, again, just once a week. Next is our math book, and again, this is just once a week. We're very slowly working through Life of Fred Apples, which is the first in the series. We will do one chapter on the one day a week we read it. I am interspersing other math books in here, which is one of the reasons we're working through this so slowly, but right for this week we are doing this, and again, that's just one day a week. Now this one you can't tell what it is because we lost the dust jacket, but it is the James Herriot Treasury for Children. It is gorgeous. My daughter loves this book. For literature, which we do once a week, I alternate between stories in the James Herriot Treasury for Children and fairy tales from the Blue Fairy book. So this week happens to be a James Herriot week. So this is in here. Next week I will be switching it out for the Blue Fairy book. Last but not least in our morning basket is some Italian resources. So this week, separate from our morning time, I'm going to be going over seasons with my children and hopefully making seasonal peg dolls. So if I get to that and we do it, maybe I'll post some pictures. So I pulled out a little Italian board book I have called Le Stagioni, which means the seasons. And it's cute. I mean, it's all in Italian. I at the beginning of the school year, over the summer, I got a bunch of little Italian books. They're not all little, but I got a bunch of books in Italian. Some are picture books that we have in English that I got in Italian, such as The Very Hungry Caterpillar, and others are kind of like this, like a board book that you would read to a baby. And I try to just read it in Italian and use like pointing at the pictures and gestures to try to get them to understand what I'm talking about, as opposed to translating it into English for them, as I'm trying to teach them in a way you would teach a baby their first language, right? You point at the pictures and say, this is an apple. So, for example, in The Very Hungry Caterpillar, there's apples, le mele. So yes, this is Le Stagione for this week, and we'll probably try to read this every day this week, if not also the following week, to see if they can just pick up more and more from it. And then these are new for this week. These are from Talkbox Mom, the Italian box, which is one of their newest offerings. This is our second box with the Italian box. And these are action charts. And so we will be choosing a few action words to start with this week and just practicing those every day. And then when we get comfortable, we'll add some more. So these are in our morning time box. These are the resources in our morning time basket in the third week of school in January 2019. I try to put them roughly in order of how we'll be using them. If you liked this video, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe to see more videos on homeschooling and gardening and planning and babies and other stuff at home. Talk to you later.